Hi friends, welcome to the first episode of The Blunt Writer. Here I'm going to be talking about the writing life, the process of being a writer, what it means to be a writer, rejection, publication, self-publishing, and all of the things that have made you curious enough to watch this video. So the first video I'm going to do today is going to be real quick because I want to cover the idea of what does it mean to be a writer. And I think there's a lot of expectations and notions of accomplishments to, first of all, call yourself a writer, which I don't think is true. And I think it's really simple. If you are a writer, if you feel compelled to write, if you feel compelled to document, to create, to write a certain perspective, to explore the human condition, to let your imagination run. But it's this constant need to kind of engage, whether you're putting it out there to the public or not, but you are chronicling, you're writing something in a diary, on social media, on your email, something that you feel like you need to keep writing or doing it, whether it's for yourself or you want to share it with others. And that's really all you need to call yourself a writer, guys. Now, there are a few things that are really irrelevant to being or to call yourself a writer. And one big one that I'm going to talk about from my personal life is the fact that I am quite moderately dyslexic. And I also, I can't spell, guys, like really. And this is a shocker for, some of the workshops that I've taught and when I've engaged with people. I'm 36 years old. I'm a published author. I've had a long career of writing and rejection and teaching and publishing, but I can't spell. Like, I seriously cannot spell. And I'm not great with punctuation. Over the years, I've gotten better and better at it. Because I'm not blocked. Just because you're bad at something doesn't mean you don't learn and you don't evolve and you don't try. So of course I have over the years really made a huge shift in how much I'm understanding about how I'm presenting my content in a textual form. But it's not something innate in me at all. People can always catch multiple typos in my work. My editors, God bless them, like seriously, just God bless them. But it's something that I do not have. It's not innate to me. My brain doesn't work that way. I mix up words when I read them. I can't remember numbers, which are all, very go hand in hand with dyslexia. But also just in general, I'm, not a good perfect person to look at something and say, oh, well, your punctuation is off here and your syntax is over here and your tense is off here. That I'm not the person for that. But what I am really good at is chronicling the human condition and articulating a lot of thoughts or ideas that people have in their heads but find it very hard to put out there. Now, this is not a discovery that I made like in a day. I took years and years and years to understand what my strengths were as a writer, also what my voice was and what my place was in this world in terms of creating and putting content out there. And that is something that is really important as finding out what your weaknesses are. And then the third thing to be a writer that is, comfortable with themselves is the ability to articulate where you truly are weak, where you truly suck. And it's good to own where you suck because A, then you acknowledge it, and B, then you actually start to do something about it, and C, you get comfortable telling people who you are as a person and as a writer, and that's going to serve you in all fields of life, not just being writing and putting things out there. The last thing is saying that you don't have time to write because of your schedule, and I know everybody's life is very different, and also having time to sit and do something for yourself also comes with social privileges. But for the purpose of this video and the sake that you're probably watching this from an intersection of your life where you really want to make the time, then it's not about time, it's about priority. And it's really easy for us to say I don't have the time, but what we really mean is we've not made it a priority. And even if that's 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, because it's really hard to keep our minds still and say, I'm going to write, I'm going to do something. And some people are really great at it. I suck at discipline, so I write in bursts, but you have to find what works for you. What are the expectations that will not serve you as a writer? A, thinking that being a writer means getting published ASAP, getting published like right there and then doing things that really don't serve that, like putting it out there in places that are not really going to get a lot of eyeballs or are not reputed places of quality content. So you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. And that's my personal opinion, because I'm going to get into a second video which is going to talk about self-publishing versus traditional publishing. Because publishing is a long road. If you are getting traditionally published and you know what that really means and why you're doing it for those reasons, then you have to know that rejection is something that is so critical to being a writer. And it's not about facing rejection and living with rejection. It's actually taking, and I tell this to all my students, is taking rejection, making it your chronic lover, because rejection is a part of being a creator, because you're writing something internal and the world outside, the rest of the world, is subjective. So how people interact with your work is always, consistently, forever going to be subjective. And you're never going to please everybody. And if you are pleasing everybody, you're probably not writing anything of relevance, or you're not writing anything that's truly moving or truly outside the box or truly resonating with somebody because to resonate is a subjective experience itself. So you can't just, write and think that everybody's going to accept it or want it. So if you're comfortable with that, then you start to really crystallize what your voice is as a writer and be comfortable with that, and still try in spite of probably getting rejections. And so you're always going to be this high of maybe getting a little publication here in a literary magazine, or somebody's come and asked you to read their voice out at read your work out at like a little gathering or a party. And these are the little highs. And then the lows are like, oh my God, I got rejected again, I'm never going to submit again. And if you do that, well, you're just going to feel those highs and you're going to feel the lows. And the point is to feel that balance of complete acceptance, so that the highs and the lows don't affect you as much. Because the highs too are like just negative energy, where you're just like, oh my God, you want that high all the time. I want to feel the same way I felt when I got published or I got accepted here. And then that's just going to make you feel a lot worse when you get rejected. So you have to feel that balance. And once you're in that happy balance, you accept everything. And then you just keep going and you keep finding who you are. The other thing is, a lot of writers today do not want to read other people's work or other books or other voices. And you can't really be a writer of consequence unless you are truly engaging with what's out there and being stimulated by other people's chronicles of life, of fiction, of memoirs, of poetry. And so once you do that, that's going to serve as a constant state of inspiration and movement in you as a writer. So if you're not writing, or you're, blocked or whatever, read. Which brings me to the other point, which is there's really no such thing as writer's block. For example, I'm supposed to be working on another book, but I haven't. Because I've not prioritized it. I'm working on other stuff. I'm creating content online. I'm doing this video. But I've definitely not prioritized my book. And B, it's because I'm lazy. Because that actually takes a lot of other work that I don't want to do right now. So it, again, comes down to priority, it comes down to laziness. And if you can accept that it's laziness and not writer's block, then you are in a better position to start acknowledging it. And once you acknowledge it, that's half the battle won, because then you'll actually start to make these small little increments towards working on what you're supposed to be doing. So that's all for today. And then I think that the next couple of videos I will be doing is on publication and what I really think about self-publishing. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.